All right, let's dive right into this explainer. I want to anchor our mindset today with a really powerful quote from luxury realtor Carlos Coretti. He says, "The purchase itself should feel informed, protected, and professionally managed." Because look, buying a home, especially a luxury property, is incredibly exciting, right? But we really need to reframe the whole process. It's not just an emotional house hunt. It's a strategic acquisition. You're making a massive investment in your lifestyle, your security, and your long-term financial value.
So, welcome. Today, we're going to distill a pretty complex 15-step real estate guide into a streamlined, highly actionable playbook designed specifically for discerning buyers like you. We are literally taking all the guesswork out of the equation and replacing it with pure strategy. This is going to give you the exact clarity you need from that very first consultation all the way to the moment the keys are actually placed in your hand.
To keep things simple, we've broken this entire journey down into 4 key phases. Phase 1 is your foundation. Phase 2 is evaluation. Phase 3 is execution. And finally, Phase 4 is securing the asset.
Let's kick things off with Phase 1, Foundation. This is where we nail down your strategy and figure out your true costs.
Okay, 43%. What's the deal with this number? Well, it's the 43% debt-to-income rule, and it's absolutely crucial. Basically, it means that all your new home costs, plus whatever existing debt you already have, should never, ever exceed 43% of your gross income. Think of it as your ultimate financial guardrail. For example, if you make $4,000 a month, the absolute maximum you should be paying towards your mortgage and other debts is $1,720. Knowing this exact number gives you total clarity, and more importantly, it stops you from falling head over heels for a property that just totally breaks your financial model.
And when we're talking about costs, I want you to think of the iceberg concept. When you look at a house, the purchase price is literally just the tip of the iceberg, visible above the water. The true monthly costs are those massive, hidden elements lurking right below the surface. We're talking about things like property taxes and insurance, which can definitely fluctuate over time. Then you've got HOA or condo fees, special assessments, and basic utility maintenance. And hey, if you're looking at luxury properties, you absolutely have to factor in long-term reserve planning for complex systems. Things like seawalls, private elevators, or extensive smart home platforms. You've got to calculate the whole iceberg, not just the tip.
Now, how are you actually going to finance this? Before we even touch on jumbo or portfolio loans, you have 2 baseline options, and the contrast here is super important. FHA loans offer a ton of flexibility. They're fantastic if you've got a slightly lower credit score or limited savings, letting you get in with a 580+ credit score and just 3.5% down. Conventional loans, on the flip side, reward buyers who have established strong credit of 620 or higher and larger down payments of 3 to 20% or more. These often offer much better long-term costs without that lifetime mortgage insurance. Picking the right lever here is totally foundational to your overall strategy.
Moving right along to Phase 2, Evaluation. This is where the fun part starts, the search and due diligence.
But here's the thing. When you're evaluating a property, especially if we're talking about luxury coastal markets like Miami or Fort Lauderdale, you really have to look beyond the physical walls of the house. You aren't just buying a building, you're buying into a whole lifestyle ecosystem. You need to scrutinize everything. Are you sitting in a coastal flood zone? What's the wind insurance environment realistically going to cost you? Or if it's a condo, what do those milestone inspections actually look like? Is the HOA reserve genuinely healthy enough to protect you from getting hit with a massive surprise special assessment on day 1? Honestly, the surrounding ecosystem dictates your long-term value just as much as those gorgeous kitchen finishes do.
All right, next up is Phase 3, Execution. This is crunch time, where we craft your offers and put your protections in place.
To really signal to the seller that you are a serious, high-quality buyer, you're going to put down an earnest money deposit. This acts as your anchor. Typically, it's about 1 to 3% of the total purchase price. And in competitive luxury markets, having a strong, verifiable deposit can honestly be just as persuasive as the offer price itself. But as we're about to see, protecting that chunk of change requires you to completely master the contract calendar.
Because look at this timeline. It really plots out the high-stakes urgency of your acquisition. The clock starts ticking the second both parties sign the contract. Notice exactly when these critical milestones hit. You've got just 1 to 3 days to wire that deposit, 5 to 10 days to get your inspections done, 10 to 21 days for the appraisal to come through, all leading up to a closing day that's usually 30 to 45 days out. You have got to watch this calendar like a hawk. Missing a single deadline without written notice, Yeah, that can literally cost you your entire earnest money deposit. No joke.
Back to back with that timeline is your contingency armor. These are the specific, contractual safety nets built in to protect you. The inspection contingency lets you negotiate repairs or just straight up cancel based on the property's condition. The appraisal contingency protects you if the home's value comes in lower than what you offered. The financing clause ensures you can walk away safely if your loan happens to fall through. And finally, title confirms you're buying a home that's completely free of random liens or legal claims. Never, ever waive these protections without fully understanding the massive financial risk involved. Let's zoom in on that inspection period for a second. This is your brief 5 to 10 day window to separate minor cosmetic quirks from major, expensive material concerns. A standard inspection usually runs between $300 and $600, though any specialty inspections will cost extra. And guys, this is absolutely critical when you're evaluating complex luxury systems. You aren't just checking if the HVAC blows cold air. You might need to evaluate private elevators, whole home backup generators, or even private docks. This is the exact moment you find out exactly what you are acquiring. And finally, we arrive at Phase 4, securing the asset. This covers your closing and the final transition.
Okay, I literally cannot stress this next point enough. You must maintain extreme financial discipline right up until closing day. I mean it. Do not open any new credit lines. As tempting as it is, do not go buy a brand new car to park in your fancy new driveway, because you won't have a driveway if your loan falls through. Don't change jobs. Don't co-sign a loan for your cousin, and don't move large, undocumented amounts of cash around. Doing any of these things can completely blow up your final loan approval at the 11th hour. Just keep your financial profile completely frozen.
Assuming you've done that, here is your final countdown to actually secure the asset. First, you'll pass the title review. Then, your underwriter will finally issue those 3 magic words, clear to close. Next, about 24 to 48 hours before closing, you're going to do your final walkthrough. Do not skip this. You're verifying that all agreed-upon repairs are actually done and that nobody punched a hole in the wall while moving out. Then, and only then, do you head to closing day to sign a mountain of documents and finally get your keys.
The moment those keys hit your hand and the deed is recorded, your whole mindset needs to shift to asset preservation. Your very first priority post-closing is getting the utilities in your name and totally securing the property's physical and digital access points. Change those physical locks, reset the gate and garage codes, and for sure, wipe all the smart home access credentials of the previous owner. You want to lock down your new asset from day one.
But, our strategic playbook doesn't just end on move-in day. Looking long-term, you really need to know how to manage your mortgage post-closing. Let's say you end up with a lump sum of cash down the road, you can actually recast your mortgage. That means you lower your monthly payment without changing your original interest rate or having to get a whole new loan. On the other hand, refinancing replaces the loan entirely. That's the perfect move if you want to pull out some equity or if market interest rates have taken a significant dip and you want to lock in a better deal.
So, as you're finally unpacking those boxes and settling into your incredible new lifestyle, ask yourself, how are you going to proactively manage this asset in the years to come? Are you going to recast, refinance, or maybe sit down with a wealth advisor? Because as a truly informed buyer, you know the secret. Getting the keys isn't the finish line. It's really just the beginning of your investment journey.